Hey, Jasen Rice here, Lotpop. Going to do another little lot party tip here. I did one yesterday about turnaround time, and I think if you missed yesterday's a little quick tip, I'm going to make this one a little bit quicker. But it's talking about turnaround time, and if it's slow right now at your dealership, the best habits tend to happen at the worst of times, and the worst habits form at the best of times. So this one, kind of going off of this, I was in a meeting call earlier this morning with one of my dealers. He's actually a small independent dealer. And, one of the things he was wondering what he could work on. And I think he just needed more help because he's a smaller store and he does pretty much it all. And one of the trends that I see consistently happen is as dealers, and it doesn't matter the size of your store or not, but if you have porters and detailers and photo people, if they're out for 1, 2, 3 days, it can cost you, I say it's about 3 weeks. For every day, it's about a week. And now 1-to-1, I don't know, missing one day might not throw you off a whole week, but it's pretty darn close. I can guarantee you though, if you get behind 3 days and your photo turnaround time, somebody's sick, somebody's missing, on vacation, what have you, if that gets jammed up for 3 days, it costs you about 3 weeks to get that thing cleaned up and turned around. If you're missing 4 weeks, somebody's gone, for 4 days, it's about a month worth of cleaning up and getting things caught up. And it's something that he ran through a few times because he'd go on vacation and, prior to vacation, they're a little behind and then he goes on vacation. And here we are a month and a half later, and we're still cleaning up that mess, and he's finally, the smoke is cleared. But, how much did that cost him? And that's what I was telling him, to hire an assistant that will run all that. It'll probably, you're spending the money one way or the other. You spent it in losses because he has a lot of age cars now we're clearing out of and getting off of those cars, or it's going to cost them and somebody personally to be able to help. And I'd rather spend that money on something that's going to be less stressful in my life, make it easier to work every day, and have somebody knowing I have my back than not spend the money and hope that I don't end up costing me money down the road. But ultimately it does. So what I was talking about here with the 3 days behind, what it costs you is about 3 weeks of turnaround time. Now, if you have a team of 5 and one person's missing, that's one thing. But a lot of stores, they're dependent on 1 or 2 people. And if that person happens to have a baby and it's gone for a while, or weeks of vacation, or a week of vacation, or days of sickness or anything like that, man, you got to have backup plans and you got to have that process tight, because days equal weeks when it comes into inventory management. 1 or 2, 3 days is going to cost you 2, 3, 4 weeks. So make sure that if you are starting to get behind, you got to react to it quick. And again, it kind of correlates with what I talked about yesterday. Is turnaround time is king. Hey, I see a dealer refresh. Ryan, thanks for that heads up. Jason Coons, good to see you again last week and meet you guys, you and Steve. It was good. And Ryan, I will check out that you said dealer refresh. But hey, again, turnaround time is key, and 1, 2, 3 days will cost you 1, 2, 3 weeks of bleed through. And what I mean by cost you, it's if we see if a dealer, and what I mean by bleed through, car goes from 1 to 15-day bucket, ends up in your 16 to 30-day bucket, ends up in your 31 to 45-day bucket, ends up in your 45 to 60-day bucket. 1 or 2, 3 days worth of being behind and jammed up in turnaround time, service, photos, description, or parts, what have you. If you're missing team members or you're getting behind 3 weeks, it costs you, or 3 days, it costs you about 3 weeks of ends up bleeding through. And if you see this little lump of inventory moving through your age buckets, I guarantee you go back and it was that week that so-and-so was missing, or it was that time that we bought too many cars and got jammed up for 2 or 3 days. It's that stuff that's causing that bleed through. And then ultimately it costs you gross because you're pushing cars down further in the sales cycle or in the age cycle, which then they're less profitable. So I was trying to make this one tip quick. It kind of went off of yesterday. If anybody ever wondered what this DWS means, it's this dealer workshop. We put one together last year. I'm going to try to put another one together, but more, and then I'm only commenting on that because I'm wearing that t-shirt today. So hope this was helpful. Again, watch yesterday's turnaround time's key, and again, I just wanted to bring the message. 1, 2, 3 days might not seem such a big deal if you got somebody sick or they're missing, but it will cost you that much in weeks of bleed through. So fix it fast, have a backup plan. Hope this is helpful. jricelotpop.com, 844lotpop.com. Free evaluation off our website, YouTube channel, Lotpop Inc. All this stuff goes up on podcasts and everything. Thanks, guys, for chiming in.